have to eat like slaves anymore because we're not slaves. If you cannot control what you eat, then you cannot control what you feel. Eat your largest meals in the middle of the day, not the end of the day.
What part the homeostasis plays, you're on your way to healing yourself. The homeostasis is the internal environment where your body is at its ultimate functionality for healing. Just keep in mind that everything that is happening to you is happening for you.
There I am. Hello, hello. Happy Saturday to everyone. I am Carolyn, and you're in the Mind of Nature, hosted by Dr. Zarif, the nutritionist. And today we are talking about starving versus fasting versus hunger. So thank you all so much for joining us here today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is Dr. Farid Zarif. The YouTube channel is Dr. Farid Zarif. We are streaming right now on Facebook and on YouTube. There's something going on with Instagram, but we're going to do our best to get that going. But Dr. Zarif, go ahead and join me here on stage so we can get it going. Not exactly sure what's going on with Instagram. Let me check here. While I'm doing that, I just want to say good morning to Yolanda Rogers. Hello, hello. Good morning, blessings from Big Mama Dearborn, Michigan. Hello, hello to you. Hey, and Shirley, Gentle Smart. Good morning, Lily. Hi. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Hey, Dr. Zarif, how are you?
I'm fantastic. It's great to see you. It's great to be here.
Yes.
I see that we're having a little problem with Instagram, but what we want you to do if you have, if you've toned, I was going to say if you're having problems with that tune in here, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right, because they have to actually be here to hear you say that.
There you go. So, what I wanted to do is to just invite everybody. Come on down in, and while we're just getting started, getting warmed up, we want you to invite people that you would know that would benefit from this, and those that perhaps would need this for their family. We're going to talk about some of the things that we've been hearing. If you're just a little bit into health, a little bit into fitness, a little bit into feeling better, you're going to hear these words. You're going to hear starving. You're going to hear, because some people want to starve themselves to look a certain way. And then you have hungry. And hungry, we'll find out that that's actually a privilege. And then, the difference between starvation, hunger, and fasting. And we're going to talk about that. So let us go ahead and, fasten your seatbelts and let's get going. Time goes very rapidly, so we want to use it to the best of our ability. And want to thank you all for being here. Really appreciate that. I'm just going to go over here and see what's happening with this. Nothing yet. I don't know. Who knows? Sometimes this stuff. So let's go ahead and get going, everybody. What I'd like you to do is talk to me today on the comments. Make those comments, like whatever you would like to, some feedback on what I'm saying to you. Might have things that you want to say to everybody, and we'll read those things. Okay. So first of all, we want to know, like, I'm just going to, and talking to Kara, what's going on with this different ways of fasting. I wanted to cover that first. Is there actually a difference, or have you heard anything? What have you heard from the streets? As they say, like keeping our ears to the street, like what's going on with fasting? What does it mean? Why do people do it?
Well, yes, fasting, it can be for a lot of different reasons. One that's at the top of my mind right now is spiritually. Usually at the beginning of the year, you get a lot of of people who are would go fast would start fasting. I know the Daniel fast in the beginning of the year is very popular. I don't know if popular is the right word, but it's a common fast that a lot of people do at the beginning of the year. So the Daniel fast, that being one of them, and pretty much that's no meat, no dairy, sugar. Also praying. Um, and those are a few of the things, and I know it can get a little more specific with that, but for the basic part of it, the Daniel fast is one of those fasts that I've actually done before switching over to plant based. So even doing that fast, that actually helped me with knowing that, oh, this is something that I can do. So yeah, that's definitely one of the ones that I'm familiar with.
Did you find that you were, not only for the, because you're doing it for the benefit of what?
Um, the benefit of being able to hear from God, because like I said, it's spirituals. Usually, Christians would do that, the Daniel fast. So it's being able to hear from God, and just kind of um, clear your mind. Uh, that being the benefit that comes from it when you do it with your church. But there's also weight loss, of course, that comes along with that when you're doing the Daniel fast. Um, so yeah, those are two of the main benefits that you would get from the Daniel fast that I've experienced.
And did you find more, well, it doesn't have to be more, but well, more or less that this is a great opportunity. I think, in my opinion anyway, that I know I've done Ramadan, for instance, and 30 days. And I used to do that, quite heavily because through years, younger, starting like about 10 years old, all the way up into my 20s. I was studying Islam,
Hmm.
and I found that you know fasting is more of a spiritual thing for me personally. Just like you saying, listening for God and being feeling closer, um, doing things, being kinder, being more empathetic, about other people's situations, being able to give more, generosity. It's just, it really helps to like hone in with what you believe.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of things that you can really correct during that time, I think, because you pray more, like in Islam, I would pray 5 or more times every day. And there's certain time, there's the El Fatiha, which is the most um, popular or well known prayers. You hear it on TV. Erudu billahi min shaitanir rajim, Bismillah rahman. You will hear it. You usually hear Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. That's the same religion. But there is an Al Islam, and then there's another Islam. So when it comes to religion, and especially organized religion, I think that it almost, when you can just say, and now I'm just picking my words very you know wisely here, but I think that when it comes down to fasting, it's about being closer to the creator,
Yeah.
whatever that is to you.
Hmm.
And I think that when people go on the Daniel fast, or they go on Lent fast, or if they're doing the intermittent fasting, all of those things are opportunities to get closer to uh, your God. How you reach what is greater, what you feel or believe that created you and all the world, the universe, everything that is in the universe is inside of us, and that we're earthlings. The however a person gets to it, whatever philosophy, uh, um, ideology that a person uses, it's all getting back to knowing God more,
Hmm.
you know, and that's what's That's why I just think that, because I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
But I think that also that we should also know that, like, we take things and we go for, people are extreme. So they'll go, instead of just, okay, I'm going to fast and then I'm going to eat. They'll go, now I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And they end up, being unbalanced, because this is nutrition, when it comes to your body, it shouldn't be just done off of opinion. It should be done off of the facts,
Hmm.
or especially evidence. Is the evidence of why something is not healthy, or why things are healthy. So, and I've heard, even since we've been on here for over a year now, and straight on this show, yay! And thank you, everybody. That year was quite fast, because we started, about a year ago, and we've been really hearing things like, "Thank you for sharing your story. This really helped my father. This helped my mother. This helped my wife. This helped my husband." Uh, there. Thank you for, and you had people that also contributed to what we're doing on the show and what we're about. And Yolanda Rogers, who we lovingly call Big Mama, and Dearborn, and then Nurse Shirley Gentle Smart, which is another wonderful contribution that we've had the opportunity to embrace. So we're really thankful for that. And I'm going to do my best to not look at the numbers go fluctuate and stuff, and stay on it, because that sometimes distracts me, and I'm like, anyway. Uh, so let's go ahead. Well, some of the things that I want to get on here, and if you have any questions or you want any comments, please leave those in the comments. And in the meantime, I'm going to just check right fast here what's going on here. We having trouble. Oh, we have a message from Instagram that they're having trouble with the line. Okay. So we're just going to leave that alone. We always want to bring you the best connections that we have, and give you the best that we have. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on into this.
There you go. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
So now we go into the survival mode. Now, what's the survival mode? Most people are in survival mode, instead of being about having abundance, or thinking in abundance, having more than they could ever wish for or hope for. The survival mode. Now, some of the ways to tell that you're in the survival mode, and these are the definitions of that survival mode: is fatigue, the lack of focus. Everything is a reaction. The difference between a reaction and a response is that a response requires thought. A reaction does not require thought. So people that are very reactionary, just like you can see when people they'll come and they'll listen to what you're saying on your show, and in 3 seconds they're gone. They can't stand. They can't be still. They don't. They're not. Like people right now that are listening can't wait to. Got to go and see what else is happening somewhere else. So the discipline comes with some of the things that we're talking about, as far as changing some of your habits. Memory problems, consistent overwhelm, and anxiety. Now, consistent overwhelm is like when a person the day becomes very difficult for them, because every day is like, even if it's going grocery shopping, it's arduous for them. It's very difficult for them. It's a huge challenge for them. But some people are just simply problematic. Period. I don't care where you go, what you do with them. There's always some stuff, and it's going to be it's very difficult to deal with that. And the more that we learn about ourselves, the better that we do. So survival mode. Now, next we want to go on to fasting. We just talked about fasting, but fasting is a practice that dates back thousands of years. This has been around for a very long time, and it still is a staple across many religions and cultures. So it's cultural. Is something that I think that is very effective, and it really, as far as helping people to look at things on a, from a higher level, better angle. Um, more recently, the variations of fasting like intermittent fasting, circadian rhythm fasting, and the time restricted feeding, all of this have been studied for the potential health effects, with some research indicating that fasting could even help you live longer. And you'll see that when I've talked to people that are are the blue zone people, I didn't get that many people that talked about fasting. They didn't, you had a few people that talked about fasting as far as their religions, but fasting is a very small part of what they've experienced. So and for those that don't know, the people in the blue zone are the ones that are octogenarians all the way down to the people that live in their 90s and people that live in their hundreds. Okay, next we have we go right into some of the things that the disinformation that you're going to hear and that you've heard. This will come back to this all because there's a whole lot of myths. I want to go over that with you, but let's go on to let me see here. Yeah, frequent. No, that's not it.
Dr. Zarif, are you gonna did you want to add this to the stage so we can see it?
Oh, I thought it. Goodness, I'm in my own world. Good. Okay, here we go. Can you see it now?
I can, yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that, because I was in my own world for a minute there. So we want to talk about that. We're going to talk about the. I want to get past this because I want to go through it again, but I do want you to know that there are 4 stages of fasting while we're talking about fasting. The physical changes that the body goes through during a fast can be divided into 4 stages. And this is what Kara was talking about earlier about the fasting does change, can help you to lose weight. So there are things that there's benefits from it, because usually during this time, this is when people are eating less. And the reaction of the body is to lose some of the fat deposits or the fat storage, and that comes in the form of either you'll hear adiposity or lipids, and which are the adiposity, adipose tissue is fat, and lipids are also fat cells. So eating often is I don't, how did I get back here? So there you go. Good. So stage 1 of fasting is the fed state. The fed state from 0 to 3 hours. Fed state. Then you have stage 2 is the early fasting state, 3 to 18 hours. Now, these numbers on the outside, this means how long the person, how many hours a person can maintain by abstaining from eating. So here is the fed state is there. If you like, for instance, you've only not eaten for 3 hours. Remember, we talked about when we're following my plan that in the rhythmic ingestion, and we talked about eating every 2 hours. approximately 2 hours, and it doesn't have to be a big. It can be like a snack, or it can be a drink, or it can be something that, as long as you're ingesting, and do that every 2 hours. Where when you go into 3 hours, you enter the stages of fasting. That's still considered fasting. Then you have stage two, early fasting state. These are people that go from 3 to 18 hours without eating anything. That's still considered fasting. Then you have the fasting state from 18 to 48 hours. Now, this is like a person that goes up to 2 days and they're fasting. Fasting means the absence of food. It doesn't mean that, you're drinking, like nothing but smoothies and you're on a smoothie diet fast, or, these people make up things, and those things are very misleading. Stage four, long-term fasting state. Now, this is like 48 hours. This might be a situation where a person hasn't ingested something. They might be getting some kind of stomach problems, whether it's cancer or whether it's irritable bowel syndrome or other gastrointestinal problems. They can go a long time, and this is considering the severity of whatever they're challenged with. But this is all of this 48 hours plus more. We go into starvation. And starvation is the difference between fasting and starvation, is that fasting is when you volunteer, and the starvation is usually when you're forced or you don't have enough to eat. You see, you don't have enough to feed yourself. So that's the difference in that. And there's another, when a person says that they're hungry. Well, hungry is also a little different if we look at it. Hungry and starvation. Starvation is when you go a long time without food, but you know that none is going to be there for the most part, and you're starving. Whereas when you're hungry, you can go a long time without food, the same amount of time when you're fasting, or when you're dealing with the absence or abstaining from food. But the difference in hungry is that you're not eating food, but you're looking forward to eating later. Like, I'll be home for dinner, or we'll go out to lunch. If you go a long time without eating, that is just that's hungry, or you're not eating on your eating cues. That means that when it's time for you to eat, that you're actually taking action on that. So I want to stop here for a minute. Remember to make your comments so that we can answer those questions for you. But we are getting this down so that you will know exactly what, when it comes to hunger and fasting, and it comes to starvation, you have a better idea. Let's just look at the fed state. The fed state is the first stage of fasting, and it occurs the first 3 to 4 hours after you eat. So like if a person eats, they have food in their body, then the body starts to catabolize it, breaks down this food, it digests it, and so forth. Then you don't eat again. This is really important to know the effects on your body when you do these things. We'll get a little more into intermittent fasting. But during this period, the blood glucose levels increase as the body digests and absorbs your meal. This leads to a rise in insulin. They're called insulin peaks. Insulin secretion, which helps regulate the blood levels to provide cells throughout the body with a steady stream of energy. And that's what your body is going through constantly, working on the balance of energy. Constantly it's working on the balance, because if you don't pay attention to when to eat, very likely you're going to get annoyed. You're going to get cantankerous. You're going to get very short tempered because when you're not eating, it irritates you, it agitates you, and you can take a very, very kind person that can turn into a monster when it's time to eat.
They call
Uh,
that angry.
Angry, yeah, angry.
Angry is like the combination of angry and hungry.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Early fasting state is around 3 hours or so after the meal. Your body shifts to an early fasting state, and this is important to know, which lasts until about 8 hours after the beginning of your fast. Now, this is why I wanted to talk about the way that that's how why it's so important to have a time to eat versus just eating impulsively. The reason that we eat like we do in the morning and the food that we choose is to complement. Listen to this here when I've written the different status like I put in here if online. I'll go into that later on, but there's ways that I'm working on where you can access this information and also access the references as you're reading it. So I have put a hyperlink there. This is why it's blue. But for now, what I want you to understand is your body is constantly changing throughout the day. Throughout the day is that whatever it's doing in the morning is not doing the same thing in the afternoon. What it's doing in the afternoon is not doing the same thing 2 hours into the evening or just before you get ready to go to sleep. For instance, alpha waves. We have alpha waves. That's the brain waves that we have when we're waking up and when we're going to sleep. But we have theta, and we have other waves, brain waves, as we're um, excuse me, as we're constantly moving through the day. So the food that we eat is very important. If you eat a food that is our bodies can handle the foods that we eat, but when we think about it, we think about the function or the physiology of our bodies. We want to be as kind as we can to ourselves. So we can eat a certain foods will cause your heart to speed up, or you can eat certain foods that help you to calm down. Food is medicine in that we use it as medicine. Other than that, it just becomes a tool for entertainment. So a lot of people are eating earlier when we said when we talked about the way that people ate is like again very impulsive. It's not something that you're looking forward to. Like sometimes I remember we were eating like on the clock when I was in school, and my mother would wake us up, and we knew that we had to eat our little cereal, whatever she had prepared for us, and be ready to get out to school and be on time. So, but I don't think that we were conscious of how it affects our bodies to be on time. So the circadian rhythm is very important. It is the rhythm of the time that you wake up and the time you go to sleep. Everything that is alive, everything that is alive or considered to be alive has a circadian rhythm. That means that it wakes up, it stays awake, alert for a certain time, and then we go to bed. Uh, it's unlike our circadian rhythm. It can be unlike the birds and the bees and deer and meese. It's different in that we're human. So some of us work. We may go to work at 4 p.m. and others are just getting off at 4 p.m. So their sleeping and wake times are different. So if you are going to bed late, that means that most likely you're going to get up later than a person that goes to bed early, because we're only required about a woman and a man slightly different with the sleeping. A man usually is required to get about 7 to 8 hours. A woman can function just as well as a man, even if she had like 6 to 7 hours. So we are different in so many ways, but so many beautiful ways, quite unique. Um, like during this stage, and I'm talking about the early fasting stage, your pancreas. Now, the pancreas is very important because that's where your insulin comes from. And that is the organ that is very or primarily involved when you're talking about too much sugar in your bloodstream. So the pancreas begins secreting higher amounts of a hormone called glucagon. Now, glucagon, it helps you to prevent blood sugar levels from dipping too low, which is called hypoglycemia. So the people with hypoglycemia, they can be narcoleptic, which means that they can fall asleep all of a sudden. They can drive and have that same illness, and they can, you can, it's life threatening. So if you have a person in your family like this, or you're like that, you should get that checked out so that you will find out how you can help that person or yourself, because it can be very, very scary. This I wanted to talk additionally about this state, that insulin levels drop and the body begins using glycogen, which is a form of glucose that's stored in the liver as a alternative source of energy. So the glycogen is stored. How is that glycogen stored? Because when people have enough glucose in the blood, then that means that the body just doesn't excrete it. The body holds on to some of that. Is stored in the liver, and some is stored in the muscle. So when the body hits the wall, as it's called, and you don't have enough energy, you can extrapolate energy from your liver. Now you've been, if you ever noticed that the weight seemingly melt right off after a day of fasting, glycogen might be behind it, because the glycogen again gives you that extra energy even if you're not eating. Get it? So even if you're not eating, your liver is there as a backup. Your body does everything that it can to keep homeostasis or balance. Okay. So once the glycogen stores are depleted toward the end of the stage, your body starts looking for other sources of fuel and may even start breaking down proteins and fats. We talked earlier about catabolism. And this is really important because the food that we eat is the fuel, and that fuel becomes the energy that our body uses. Okay. So it's not just, I'm hungry, I got to eat. Yeah, that is one way to do it, but it's not a way that is helpful to you in a lot of cases, because once you learn more about yourself and how to treat yourself during those times that you're facing, you can actually help yourself through. You can, like, oh, I am right now gone too long without food. It's been over 2 hours. Uh, Remember, when a person is going into 3 hours, 4 hours, that is fasting. That's no longer a meal plan. That's fasting. And it can be detrimental if you continue to do those things over and over. Now, fasting state, which is a metabolic state which your body relies on fat instead of sugars. Okay, that is this particular fasting, this is the, if for those of you that have heard of the ketosis or ketogenic diet, you've probably heard of that before. And this
Is
is
that just
when,
like the keto, just saying keto diet? Is that the
yeah,
same thing?
yes.
Okay.
Uh, and over time, it causes the body to enter ketosis. Not the very first time, but over time, it can cause ketosis. And that's the metabolic state, again, which the body relies on fat instead of sugars or carbohydrates as its main source of energy. And this can also be achieved without fasting using a very low carb diet like keto. So we this basically means that your body is being powered by ketones instead of carbs because you're not eating. You can really smell this like in a baby. When a baby has gone too long without eating, the very thing that you can do is smell the breath. It almost smells like paint thinner or something. It's an acetone. You smell it and you know that that baby has been gone too long without eating, and the baby is crying and yelling because the baby is hungry. uh, at that point the baby is fasting. They're not eating on point because the baby can't really make that decision, in choosing food like we can as adults. And then we have uh, let's see here. Yeah. So we want to autophagy, uh, uh, autophagy. Yeah. Autophagy is a fasting can trigger it. So like if you're doing, I'm just learning this word by the way, because before we just use the what happens when your body triggers another motion. And I really like this because there's the catabolism or the breaking down of these cells. All of this stuff is just very, very important. And the autophagy is one of the processes that we should learn more about. So let's get back into autophagy. Is a catabolic process used to clean out damaged cells and replace them with healthy new ones. And that's like apoptosis, for instance. I'll say apoptosis more than autophagy, but autophagy is very it's important because it does a lot of things. In fact, one study showed that the markers of autophagy were detected in white blood cells after just 24 hours of fasting, plus levels of mTOR, which is a protein that blocks autophagy, also decreased during the stage. Now, research suggests that autophagy may have a protective effect against aging. The other thing is that autophagy may have protective effects against cancer and other diseases. A nutrition researcher has done some really incredible work, and it's impressive enough for some researchers, even for some researchers, even believe that enhancing the autophagy could expand the life, but they haven't had enough studies to show that yet. So it also autophagy is important when this catabolic process is important too, because it's one that keeps us looking young. So again, eating on time, not just eating just for the heck of it, and making sure that you're full. I'm going to go ahead and stop right here because we need to reset. So I'm going to let Kara go ahead, and then I'll be back after I finish my mumbling.
All right, no problem. Thank you, Dr. Zarif, and thank you to everyone that's joined us here. Today in the Mind of Nature, we are talking about starving versus fasting versus hunger. So thank you all so much for joining us. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Dr. Farid Zarif is the YouTube channel. And also we are streaming on Facebook and we are streaming on YouTube. Not sure what's going on with Instagram, so we just kept it going, but we are here. And thank you all so much for joining us. If you can go ahead and give the thumbs up on YouTube, give thumbs up on Facebook. Let me see here. Yolanda Rogers and Michael Griggs, thank you so much for your thumbs up over on Facebook. Really appreciate it. Again, go ahead and subscribe if you have not subscribed. We're getting closer and closer to our goal of 1,000, hitting 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So that's really exciting. And without you guys, we could not get that done. So thank you all so much. Let me see here. Good morning to you, Denise Kane. Thank you for joining us here today. There is a question, or actually, there's a comment from Shirley Gentle Smart. And she says, I use fasting for spiritual reasons and also for a reset of my body when I've been eating reckless. So, Dr. Zarif, if you want to come back on stage and we can continue on and probably comment to the Shirley's comment that she made just now.
Definitely. I love that. We're talking about this because it is really, it'll show you really what you're eating. The purpose or the definition of the ways that we eat. And absolutely, I agree with her. This is the same thing. When you want to feel more spiritual, one of the things is to reduce the amount of food that you're eating. You don't even have to fast or abstain from food, but just eating, if you just remember the different portions, smaller portions, and just eating what it takes in order for you to satisfy the cue of being hungry, but don't overdo it. That's the thing. Some people they want to eat until their stomach gets ready to burst, and they get used to that, and it's like they don't think that they're full until the stomach gets to the part that oh God, I can't move, oh God, oh man.
That
And it's
happens.
like,
Yeah, Thanksgiving for sure. That's when a lot of people, like during the holidays, really, a lot of
yeah,
people experience that, because you got to
yeah,
have everything on the plate.
right. Yeah, and it's like, hey, when it starts forming a hill, that should be a sign to stop, but they just have stuff rolling all down the hill on the plate. But anyway, back to the small doses.
Hey, I've been guilty of it. That's how I know.
Well, we all have. We all have. I don't want to seem like I'm sanctimonious because there's times that, it's going to be those times, but the point that I'm making is make sure that if somebody offers you some chips or you have some chips, take the chips, put it in a saucer, put the bag up. Don't leave it out there, because if you leave it out there, you're going to eat the whole bag. And there are other foods that trigger you eating more, like people that love chocolate. They'll eat chocolate and they have a little almond in it. It's good. And then that taste, the after effect, is like, oh, I got to have more of that. And then the whole box of chocolates are gone. So it's like, okay, what is going on? It's like you're overdoing it. It's called gluttony. So back to the causes of when you're fasting, it's a good idea. It's beautiful, a time for meditation and prayer. It's beautiful for a time of love, generosity, being kind. The things that we say, out of our mouths, it should be things that are kind. For those of you that aren't the kind to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, this is a great time to practice that. I apologize, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings or what have you. Put it in your category. The other things that Nurse Shirley says here is that she lets her body reset, and let me see, what does it say? For a reset of my body when when I'm eating recklessly. So Yeah, and sometimes they get like that. Like, see, this is a knowledgeable woman. She's that is her career in helping people. It doesn't mean that she's, oh, yeah, can't believe you're doing that. First of all, what you eating is your business. Everybody, don't let a person come up to you and act like they're the food police. You know, and that's what happens sometimes to make people feel, oh, you eating whatever that person's eating. They made that decision. If it's not something that's going to kill them, that's their trip. That's their voice through their life. Now with children, it's different because they don't know any better. They think they can eat everything in the world, and they really believe that because they're children, and that's the way that they think. But we as adults, should be doing it differently. So thank you for that, Cheryl, for Nurse Cheryl. Thank you very much for it. I really appreciate it. And do we have any other one? Let me see. Beautiful topic. Excellent. Thank you, Denise Kane in the house. Thank you so much for that comment. We really appreciate it, and all the other beautiful hellos, greetings that we got. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back to it. Okay, and we'll talk about. I think we can do this like that. There we go. Good. So what we want to do here is that we want to go through a couple of more things, and I really want you all to get something out. We're talking about starvation, we're talking about fasting, and we're talking about hunger. So here are some of the things that I want to go here. Maybe bam. Okay. So we talked about that. Let's go into myths a little bit. One of the common arguments about intermittent fasting is that it puts your body into starvation mode, thus shutting down your metabolism and preventing you from burning fat. Well, while it's true that long-term weight loss can reduce the number of calories you burn over time, and even in writing this, when I say calories that are burned, these are more like we don't really burn the calories. What we do is our body utilizes the energy that we have in the form of calories. Calories are units of heat and energy. So when you think about burning, this is how people actually have sold us on eating in a certain way. Just like, for instance, if you're eating maybe lettuce or your vegetables and so forth, they'll say, eat this because this will burn fat. Well, yeah, there's no food that burns fat. And I know you probably want to check that, but do it. Go ahead. You can check it right now, even before we get out of here. Check and see, does it. There's when people use fat burning, this is a way to sell products, especially when you're in an epidemic of obesity. So when you say, oh, burn people, I want to burn fat. And then you got people that exercise, oh, I'm burning fat. You're using energy. And then when you use that energy up, then your body starts to use the fat as energy. And after you start using that up, then your body start using your muscle as energy. That's why you can see people that look flabulous, because all of the flab, they're not correct. They're not working out correctly. They have good intentions, but they need a professional to lead them through that so that you have a better understanding of what the body is doing and how you can do it most safely. Now we stop for a couple of seconds to say, send some hearts up here to let us know that we're doing that. You're enjoying what you're sharing. We appreciate it. Okay. Let's go on to, I wanted to go on to the other things about your body in starvation mode. This is also due to a drastic increase in blood levels or norepinephrine, which stimulates your metabolism and instructs your fat cells to break down body fat. So when you hear epinephrine, epinephrine is also a hormone, but it's a hormone that when you get excited, ooh, you know, it's for that energy that you need right away. But norepinephrine sounds like it's the same, but what happens when the increase of norepinephrine in your blood, what happens is it stimulates your metabolism, and it also sends instructions that instructs your fat cells to break down body fat. So let's keep that in mind. That's what's really happening, not that you're eating something and it's burning fat. If that were the case, Ozempic wouldn't have, wouldn't even be a thing, because if you could eat certain things and it would actually burn fat, we'll be in a good place. Okay, let's look at another myth. I'll just go ahead and mix it up here. Intermittent fasting makes you lose muscle. Well, let's look at that. We know that the intermittent fasting, and people do this during the day, and this actually interrupts with what the body does. It really starts to cause the storing of more fat, is the storing of more, like, being in a hungry state. And all of this is because what is done here is not something that's natural. One review that said that the intermittent fasting caused a similar amount of weight loss as continuous calorie restriction. That's what you're doing when you're not eating through the day, or you go these long hours. That is called calorie restriction. And you have many people that are restricting their food. They're not eating enough. And this is important because this is also how you protect your muscle. Now, muscle, don't think about, oh, I don't want muscles. Muscle, men and women have muscles. But if they're too large or we get bulky, that's when the looking at the balance of what you're doing may be the most important. So, okay, we'll do one more and then we got to get out of here. We're skipping breakfast makes you fat. Well, one ongoing myth is that the breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And you've heard me say that many times, that this is what some people actually think. But people commonly believe that skipping breakfast leads to excessive hunger, cravings, and weight gain. Well, one 16-week study in 283 adults with overweight and obesity observed no weight difference between those who ate breakfast and those who didn't. All right, I just dropped the mic. There it is. So is that when you get caught up in, and this was like people for 16 weeks, they continue to drop or skip breakfast, and they were not fatter because of it. So for those people that say, no, you can't. If you skip it, that's really going in whatever their story that they're telling that follows that. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of more myths to talk about. And these are the things that I want you to look at and do your due diligence. Like eating frequently helps reduce hunger. Eating frequently boosts your metabolism. We talked about skipping the breakfast. Intermittent fasting makes you lose muscle. We talked about that. Intermittent fasting is bad for your health. Well, let's look at that just for a second. For example, it changes your gene expression related to longevity and immunity, and has shown to prolong lifespan in animals. While you may have heard of these rumors that intermittent fasting harms your health, studies reveal that it has several impressive health benefits. And I wanted to say that because when you sound like you're vilifying a food or a way a person eats, and they say, hey, that's the way that I'm eating, this couldn't be bad for you because I feel great. Well, again, remember, let me take you back to biochemical individuality. There can be a difference from person to person. So the intermittent, although it can be injurious to your health, it also has some highlights. But that's like in everything, like Jack the Ripper, the guy that killed all these prostitutes in New York. And I'm sure his mother loved him, and he had, I think he had dogs too, and the dogs loved. You ever seen these real angry people and mean people, and they have these little funny dogs with them? It's a is something that is bad also has the polarity of goodness. There's nothing just pure evil. And I think you probably want to argue about that one, but I look at it as it's really everything. Something that's good has a bad side to it. Something that's weak has a strong side of it. Happy is sad. You know, um, you know, Abundance and poverty. You know what I mean? Is everything is like that in life. So polarity has a big part to play there. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for being here. I can go on and on. I really appreciate those of you that sat still for an hour, or you did your work and you got involved with what we were talking about. I know that we're not tap dancing for you, and I'm sure you don't want to see that anyway. But we are very interested in protecting your health and giving you the tools to do so. So thank you for joining us today on hunger, fasting, and starvation. And I'm going to turn it over to Kara.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zarif. As Dr. Zarif mentioned, we are thankful for everyone that's here. Thank you for spending time with us, for dropping a comment, for giving us thumbs up, subscribing, liking. All of those things matter, and we really do appreciate it. We are here every Saturday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. So again, just thank you. Thank you to everyone that's joined us. If you have subscribed, or if you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Share this live as well with others. When the live is over, it is on YouTube, so you can go ahead and just send that share off to someone, and that would really be appreciated as well. We want to get the word out, communicate to the other.
Exactly. Because we really want to start this 2025 off, like with a bang. We really want to come through strong. And if you really want us to stay and continue doing this program, let us know. Let us know right down here in the comments, because it's very important. We're doing this for us. So it's really about us helping us. Together we work really, really well. So I just want to make sure that we have that understanding is something that can really help us. Thank you very much for being here again. We'll see you next week at 8 a.m. PST, same channel, same time. I'm Dr. Zarif, the nutritionist, and I'm waiting for my co-host.
And I am Carolyn Gento. Thank you all so much.
All right.